Hi, good morning and good evening. Today I'm going to share a fascinating story that I read about Google a few years before. So what would happen is one of Google's customer would write into Google every week. He or she would not write anything on those emails, no text, no feedback, no concern, but they would just write a number. And sometimes it would be a 15 number written there, and sometimes it would be a 12 number, sometimes it would be a 18 number. So Google was having a hard time trying to understand what the customer was saying. Then after some time, somebody in Google realized what the customer was saying. So basically, customer was directing or indicating Google on the number of options or buttons available on the Google home page. So basically the customer was saying, okay, today on your home page Google, I found 12 options or 12 buttons, and so basically the customer is saying, if you keep more buttons, then it becomes hard for the home page to load, and my experience gets impacted. So it was actually a feedback that the Google customer was giving, but was giving in his own or her own style. So when I read about that, I was able to recollect what happens with many of us as leaders at office. So many of our employees also similarly give feedback, but they don't give feedback in a straightforward plain English. So many times they are behaviors and pattern that they display. For example, you would have an employee who would suddenly start taking too many leaves. It would be more than the usual leaves that person would take. Now that is an indication, a pattern that you would have to notice and ask them, because they are giving you some message about you, and they are giving you some message about your process. Similarly, the other pattern you can see is employee who would be top performing and would be coming on time would suddenly start coming late to office on a regular basis. Now that is a pattern, that is a behavior that you would have to notice. Similarly, the other behavior that you must notice is there would be employees who are generally more engaging in meetings, but suddenly they would start being silent in meetings. Now that is another pattern that you would have to notice and connect with them to understand why is this change there, right? So long story short, next week when you go back to your office, I would highly recommend you constantly look for these patterns. Constantly try to listen beyond words. Constantly look for people behavior and see if you see a change in pattern, and accordingly connect with them. The reason being, the people who you are leading are already constantly and daily giving you feedback on what needs to improve in your leadership style, what needs to improve in your process, and what needs to improve in your program. The billion-dollar question is, are we listening and observing those patterns? Think about that. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.